You guys love all the stories about my grandma, so here's another story time about my crazy grandma. One time I was at my grandma's house and we were cleaning out the shed and we were just going through a bunch of stuff she wanted and things that she didn't want. So my siblings and I are just getting around seeing what we can have and not have, basically. And we find a pair of like these old metal handcuffs. Like these were thick. Like they weren't like the police ones where they're like thin and metal. Like these were thick and heavy. My siblings and I were just messing around, so I put the cuffs on, but I left enough space so that I know that I could like wiggle my hand out of this. And I was like 10 years old, so I had a small hand, so I could just wiggle it out, you know what I mean? And I go to show my grandma, and you know what this girl does? She looks at it and she goes, "Stop messing around," and she puts the cuffs tighter on my wrist. At that moment, I was like, we did not see the key anywhere. So my siblings and I are panicking. We're looking for the key in the shed because this shed was like packed to the brim. That's why we're cleaning it out. And I was like, what am I gonna do now? We looked for the key for about an hour. We cannot find anything. Keep in mind, I'm handcuffed like this, and the circulation is starting to like cut off from my wrist to my hand. We're trying the petroleum jelly, we're trying the olive oil, we are trying everything. There's literally nothing else that we could do. Like, we've tried everything at this point. So the only thing that we could do is go and tell my grandma, like, I need to go to the hospital because I'm already losing circulation really bad and they're hurting due to her putting them tighter. This woman has the nerve to tell me, wait for your father. Girl, what you mean wait for my father? And he was like in a business meeting, God knows where, probably like hours away. My siblings and I basically just annoyed the heck out of her and we're like, no, I need to go now, I need to go now. And she was like, fine, let's go in the car. So we go in the car and she's an old woman driving, so she's driving really slow, okay? She didn't even take me to the hospital. You know where this woman took me? This woman took me to the fire department. She didn't take me to the hospital, she took me to the fire department. Once we got to the fire department, the firemen were like, well, what do you want us to do? And she was like, I don't know, but I'm not going anywhere else. And then I was just like in pain, like, and they were like, these firemen are trying their best to get these old metal cuffs off of my hands. And I'm just like with swollen wrists, no circulation for probably around like 3 hours at that point. And they're just trying their best. So it takes them about an hour of trying, tugging, pulling, like cutting, trying to pick the lock to get these cuffs off. Real salute to the firemen because they were able to get the cuffs off. Finally got circulation in my wrist. I never went to the hospital because my dad ended up coming like at 10 o'clock at night. Girl, that story done scar me for life because I was like, how could she do that to me? Like, she purposely made them tighter.
Can I tell you, have you ever been ran over? Yeah, have you ever been ran over? I've been over 3 times. I've been ran over 3 times. My brother too, actually, twice. By my mother. All 5 times. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We were driving to Walmart. We pull over, right? I get out of the car. My mom doesn't know I got out of the car yet. She's still parking. My foot is somehow behind the wheel of the car. She reverses. She is on my foot. The car is on my foot. I scream, ah, Mom, you're on my foot. You're on my foot. The door is closed. She can't hear me. She parks the car. She gets out of the car. The car is still on my foot. I go, Mom, my foot, my foot, my foot. She's like, what are you doing? Let's go. Let's get inside the store. I can't. There's a car on top of my foot that you parked there. You parked the car there on my foot. On my foot. She looks at me and she's like, what are you doing? Let's go inside the store. I said, Mom, the car's on my foot. She goes, stop playing. I go, you parked the car on my foot. She goes, oh, she gets in the car. What does she do? She reverses on my foot and then forwards on my foot. She goes, vroom, 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 over my foot. I scream in pain. She gets out of the car. She closes the door. She goes, oh, stop crying. Why are you being a baby? We get into Walmart. What does this woman do? She starts laughing. Oh, my goodness. I can't believe I rolled over your foot. I can't believe I ran it over. What am I doing? My mom did that. My mother. Don't think that you could hurt my feelings ever.
Well, my dad threw up on me, so we've officially come full circle there. He's fine now, but several months ago, he had back surgery, and I went home to help. So I got to their house the day before the surgery, and once he got back from the hospital, my sister and I rushed out to help him get from the car to his bedroom, because it's a very long walk for someone who just had invasive surgery, and he was on a lot of medicine. And after we're in the house, he said, I think I'm going to throw up. And I started to panic. And my sister said, "Don't worry, Daddy, you can throw up on me." And I was like, gross. And she just smiled at me smugly, like she just knew that our parents were going to be changing the Netflix password after that. But he said, "No, really, I'm about to throw up." And I was like, well, I guess I should do something since I'm the oldest daughter and I have to do everything around here. So I ran to his desk and I dumped out his trash bin and I held it in front of him, and it was much bigger than this. And I said, "Here, Dad, you can throw up in here." And he projectile vomited right above it. It was right in front of him, and he missed it, and I was covered in vomit and shaking and about to cry, and all I could think was, "You're the reason I'm bad at sports." But I didn't want to start crying, so I started laughing instead. And my sister started laughing because she just watched someone throw up on me. And my mother didn't see what had happened. And so she said, "Don't laugh at your father. This is really hard for him." And I was like, I'm the victim here. And I went and I took the longest shower of my life. And when I got out, my mom came to me with some cash and a list of groceries to go pick up, which was great because I needed to trauma dump on somebody. So as soon as I got all my items up to the register and the cashier said, "Hi, how are you today?" I said, "My dad threw up on me today." And my sister said, "Kate, don't be telling strangers all of our family business." And I said, "Why? He doesn't know our father. He's not going to see him shopping for apples and think that's the man who threw up on his daughter."
I used to hate how strict my parents were, but honestly, looking back now, my adolescent years were so hectic, but so much fun. That being said, get ready with me while I tell you everything I used to do growing up with strict foreign parents. First and foremost, younger me had a lot of balls. I managed to have a year-long relationship without them even knowing. I would tell my parents I was staying after school to do work. Meanwhile, I was either with him or hanging out with my friends. Because that's another thing, I wasn't really allowed to hang out with friends except for my best friend, which my mom knew. I've always been a social butterfly, so I just knew that wasn't gonna work out. Like, not hanging out with anyone. I used to sneak out every single weekend. If it wasn't with him at the time, it was with my other friends. Like, I used to go to parties while they were sleeping, which is crazy to me because my mom is a super light sleeper, and actually one of those times when I came back home, she just got up to go to the bathroom. I remember just how bad that freaked me out. I was like, whew, that was a close one. I don't know how I didn't get caught, but like, it didn't matter to me because like, for some reason, I just knew I wouldn't get caught. I was pretty reckless, but like, I also knew what I was doing. What's absolutely crazy to me is that like my parents actually met him while we were dating. He was my prom date, obviously, so like they had to meet him because he had to pick me up, and we literally just pretended like we were just friends. That same ex went to a completely different school, so when it was time to go to his prom, I told my parents it was like this homecoming event, like a super fancy homecoming event, and like never mind the promposal that I literally had in my room. Like, I don't know how they didn't catch on. That's actually so crazy to me. I used to track my parents. Like, a lot of parents track their kids, but for me, like, I tracked my parents. The phone tracking worked great until it didn't. After my high school graduation, I decided to have a little fun party at my house, at my parents' house, with like a bunch of friends. I'm guessing my mom's phone was off because like her location was not refreshing, and I started to freak out. I didn't really end my party early. I don't know why, I just didn't end it early. But after everyone left, my mom seriously like came home right after. Like, it was not even 5 minutes. I'm telling you guys, like, not only did I have balls, but like I had trust. My parents freaked out over me doing my eyebrows, so like getting caught for something that serious was a big no-no. I mean, I was terrified at the time, but like looking back now, I was like, oh.